Stop for a moment and look at your hands. How often have those hands worked to build someone else's dream while your own sat gathering dust? How many times have you set your own peace on fire just to keep someone else warm? Someone who wouldn't even hand you a match if you were the one freezing in the dark. If you feel exhausted, not because of the hard work you do, but because of the people you do it for, then pay close attention. This isn't just a story. It is a mirror. It is a wake-up call for every tired soul who has forgotten that their life is a gift to be lived, not a tool to be used. Today, we learn the hardest lesson of all, how to save yourself from the trap of being too kind. In the heart of a valley, where the winds whispered through ancient oaks, lived a man named Silas. To the neighbors, Silas was more than a man. He was a human safety net. If a porch light flickered out, Silas was there with a ladder. If a heavy harvest needed hauling, Silas was the first to grab a sack. He was the person everyone called when they were in trouble, and he was the person no one called just to say, "Hello." Silas lived by a simple, noble creed, that a life lived for others is the only life worth living. He wore his exhaustion like a badge of honor, believing that his empty pockets and aching back were proof of a virtuous soul. He said yes to every request, every whim, and every demand, convinced that his kindness was building a mountain of goodwill that would one day protect him. But while Silas was busy patching up the roofs of the town, the shingles on his own home were curling and breaking. His garden, once a vibrant sanctuary of lily and herbs, was being choked by aggressive weeds. The paint on his front door was peeling like sunburned skin. Inside, his mother watched him with a heavy heart. She saw the dark circles under his eyes and the way his shoulders slumped a little lower each year. "Silas," she would say as he stumbled into the kitchen late at night, "you are the town's hero, but you are a stranger in your own home. You carry the world on your back, but who is carrying you?" Silas would only offer a weary, practiced smile. "It's okay, Mother," he'd whisper. "Kindness is never wasted. One day, when I need them, they will be there." That one day arrived with the fury of 1,000 hammers. A massive storm, the kind that old men tell legends about, began to brew on the horizon. The sky turned a bruised purple, and the air grew thick and electric. As the first gusts of wind began to tear at the trees, Silas didn't think of his own fragile roof or his exposed garden furniture. His first instinct, as always, was outward. He ran to the farm of a neighbor named Marcus, whose expensive equipment was sitting in an open field. For 2 hours, Silas fought the biting wind and the horizontal rain, helping Marcus move every heavy machine into the safety of the barn. By the time they finished, the storm was at its peak. Silas turned to head home, his clothes heavy with mud and water, only to find the path blocked by fallen branches. When he finally reached his own gate, the sight broke his heart. The wind had caught his unsecured garden shed and flipped it like a toy. His rare plants were crushed under the weight of his own porch swing, which had been tossed through the air because he hadn't stayed back to bolt it down. His roof, which he had promised to fix months ago, had finally given way, allowing rain to pour into his mother's bedroom. Silas sat on his soaking porch, the cold rain mixing with the hot tears on his face. He had saved Marcus's tractors. He had saved the town's flower beds. But he had failed to save his own sanctuary. He realized, with a crushing weight, that while he was out being a hero for people who had their own hands, his own life had been left to drown. The following morning, Silas didn't go to the town square. He didn't pick up his toolbox. Instead, he walked toward the river, where an old boat builder named Elias spent his days. Elias was a man of few words, but his eyes held the clarity of deep water. Silas sat on a pile of cedar planks and poured out his soul. "I've given everything," Silas choked out. "I've been the most helpful man in this valley, and yet I feel like a hollow shell. My kindness has left me with nothing but ruins. Why does it feel like I'm being punished for being good?" Elias didn't look up from his work. He ran a hand over the hull of a half-finished skiff. "Silas," he said, his voice like the low rumble of a cello, "look at this boat. It is designed to sit in the water and carry people across. But if I don't seal the wood, if I don't build high walls to keep the river out, the very thing the boat is meant to help will become the thing that sinks it. You are like a boat that has forgotten its walls. You've let everyone climb in, and you've let the water pour over the sides. That isn't kindness, boy. That's a slow-motion suicide. Kindness without boundaries is just a different name for self-destruction." Silas listened, the words cutting through the fog of his guilt. Elias continued, "For the next week, I want you to practice a new language. The language of no. Not a no rooted in anger, but a no rooted in truth. Every time someone asks for your piece of the world, ask yourself, is my own house in order? If the answer is no, then your answer to them must be the same. You cannot pour from a cup that you've allowed everyone else to drink dry." The test came sooner than Silas expected. That afternoon, Marcus, the same man whose equipment Silas had saved, walked up to his gate. "Silas, I need a hand fixing the fence the storm knocked down. Bring your heavy hammer, would you?" Silas looked at Marcus. Then he looked at his own leaking roof. His heart hammered against his ribs. The old habit of saying yes screamed in his ears, but he remembered Elias's boat. "Marcus," Silas said, his voice steadying as he spoke, "I'm glad your equipment is safe, but today I cannot help you. I have a leak in my mother's roof that must be fixed before nightfall. I need to take care of my own home today." The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus looked shocked, even slightly offended. "You're saying no? After all the times I've called you?" Silas nodded, not with malice, but with a newfound clarity. "I am saying no because I have ignored my own life for too long. I can't be your strength until I am no longer my own weakness." Marcus grumbled and walked away, and for a moment Silas felt a sharp pang of guilt. But then he picked up his hammer and climbed onto his own roof. As he drove the first nail, he felt something he hadn't felt in years, a sense of ownership. He wasn't working for a thank you or a pat on the back. He was working for his own peace. Over the next few days, the requests continued to come, and Silas continued to filter them. He helped where he could without hurting himself, but he stood firm when his own rest or responsibilities were at stake. He realized a painful but necessary truth. Some people didn't like the new Silas because they could no longer use the old Silas, but the people who truly cared for him stayed. They respected his time. They even started offering to help him. Silas repaired his garden. He painted his door a vibrant, defiant blue. He spent evenings sitting with his mother, not falling asleep in his soup, but actually listening to her stories. Weeks passed, and the town shifted. People stopped treating Silas like a public utility and started treating him like a man. By valuing his own time, he had taught the world how to value him. He learned that the word no wasn't a wall that kept people out. It was a gate that he held the key to. He was no longer the man who is always available. He was the man who was intentional. So let me ask you, are you the one who is always too busy because you're redoing everyone else's chores? Do you feel a knot in your stomach when someone asks for a favor you don't have the energy for, yet you say yes anyway? Understand this. The world will take exactly as much as you are willing to give. If you don't set a limit, there is no limit. Saying no does not make you a bad person. It makes you a responsible guardian of the life you are given. You are not a bridge for people to walk over. You are a person with a destination of your own. Respect your peace. Protect your time. Because the world will only start respecting your light once you stop letting everyone else blow it out. Choose yourself today, so you have enough of yourself to give tomorrow.